Hello everyone, today we are going to learn texting with AutoCAD. So we are going to go to AutoCAD and create a new file. And I'm going to help you drag the command window up and leave a few spaces here so we can know what AutoCAD is talking to us. And today we are going to work on texting. So we have a single line text and a multi-line text in AutoCAD. So those are two things that we are going to learn today. So first of all, we are going to create two layers. So create two layers. They are called single line. So you could call it so click a new one. Then call it a S text for single line text, and also create another one. So first of all, let's I'm going to make it thicker so you can see it, and make it show up, and also create another one based on that, and it's called M text. It's multi-line text. Then I'm going to go to the single line text layer, and let's create a single line text. So go to the text, then click on single line text. So right now the text style is standard, and the height is 0.2 and no annotative, and it's from the left. So let's type in some text here. So just click on one point and drag it to the right with a straight line, then click another time, and you can type in the text here. So it's very big here, as you can see, but that's okay. We're going to change that later. So let's type in this is a single line text. So this is a single line text, period. And then you're going to click somewhere, then hit ESC so it will stay, otherwise it will disappear. And put it in the center. So here is actually a typo, then you can double click it again. Then we'll bring it in, then right click. It might have correcting. If it's not, then you just click that and change the typing here and say OK with that. Then you can save the work. So save it to a directory that you can remember. And I'll call it teaching. Then save it. So with this text, the name was called the standard, and it's a 0.2 of the height. So before you have any text, you're supposed to set up the layer first. So the way you do that is you go to annotation, and under here, so this one text style here, so click on that. So there are two so far, annotative and standard. So this is the default one, and you don't want to change any of this. Okay, you don't want to change any of this. You're going to create a new one based on the standard one. So I'm going to do new, so click on the standard one first and say new, and you can name it with your last name so you know that's yours. And so we create a new one based on the standard. So I believe the default one was a real. So let's go there. So this was the default one. And you could also have the font style, could be bold, italic, or regular. So we just stay with the regular one. Then you could also make it to be upside down, such as this, or backwards, like this. So in order to make the backwards one happens, you have to use a single line text. Multi-line text will not work for backwards. And also some of them will be available for vertical. So you probably check on any text size with SHX at the end. Some of them will work and some of them still don't. So such as the dimension one will work. So if you selected the font with as the dimension, then you could make that as vertical. And let's go back to Arial ones. So right here. And now we are going to set the text height as 0.125 and 0.125. So leave everything as the default. And the width factor, which means you could have your letter 3 times widther than the other. Wider than the other. Now let's just change it back to 1, so it's regular, and just apply and close. Now if we go to annotation, so it's going to be the one we just created with the text height 0.125. So let's create another single line text here. So single line text, and start off here. Then let's see, this is a single line text, period. The height, the text height is 0.125, period. Then click somewhere, then hit ESC, so it will stay. So they are right here actually, very small. Then if you click that, there is a square underneath. So if you drag the square, then you can move the text around. So on technical drawing, everything should be all capital letters. So we can turn on the caps lock. So on the keyboard, press the caps lock. So let's do a single line text again. So single line text, and start off here. Then let's tap everything should be capital. Oh, it changed again. So have the caps on. Period. Then click somewhere, so it will stay. Okay, so this is a still single line text. So let's tap with multiple lines and see what's going to happen. So still go to text and a single line. And let's tap more words here. So start off here. Then let's see, we are going to have 2 lines. So we are going to have 2 lines, period. Then hit enter. They are all individuals. Period. And enter. Not an entire paragraph. Period. Then click somewhere, then hit ESC. So if you hover your mouse on top of that, you will realize they are still single line text. They are not an entire thing. And you can still move things around like this. So they are all individual parts. And sometimes I want all this single line text, they all lined up together. So what you can do is you go to create a construction line, so vertical one, and put it here. And so you could click on the single line text and drag it on the construction line, so all of them will line up together instead of all messed around. Okay, so they're all staying together. So I'm supposed to have this construction line on the construction line layer because I don't want that to show up. So I will have to create another layer that is called construction line. And with that, close that and move that to the construction line layer and turn off the construction line layer. So all the texts, they're all lining up now. And sometimes you want all this text, they are all centered. So the way you do that is you go to single line text, then you do justify. So click on justify, and instead of a left, we're going to do center. So click on center. Then we can have a single line text here, and type in this is a centered text. Period. Then hit enter. Everything should be centered. Period. Then move. So as we said, both of them, they're all individual properties, individual blocks. Then because they're all single line text. Next one, we're going to learn multi-line text. So if it's actually here. So if you don't remember the command, you can also tap M text, means multi-line text. So M text, then enter. So that's multi-line text. So if you do that, so they gave you a space here, then you can click here and click to the right below corner, and that's the box that you want to put in your multi-line text. So let's tap this is a multi-line text. Period. Then hit enter. So I have a typo here, so just right click, then it will correct that for you. And they are not individual lines, so we're going to tap they are not individual lines, period. They are an entire entity. Period. And if you hover your mouse on top of that, so they are all an entire entity. They're not separated anymore. And also with the multi-line text, you could put symbols there. So this is the multi-line text, so I'm supposed to move that to the multi-line text layer. Okay. And we're going to create another multi-line text line here. And let's see, we want to have a diameter as a 10, so we tap 10 here, then go to symbol here, then add the diameter. So this is diameter 10. And also you could have the 35 degrees, so type in 35, then the gray is here. Or you could have a plus minus the tolerance 0.002. Then plus minus sign is going to be here. And this is how you put the symbols in between. And with that, the multi-line text, so it has a square here, which you can drag the text box around. And also there are two triangles. So if you click the right one to the left, so they all squeezed together. And also you could click the bottom one here. Then it's going to be two columns. So click one more time. I need to turn off the snap. So click here, then it's going to be two columns here. If you want to go back, then change it back here and drag it here. Then save the work. The next one, we're going to look at annotative text. So annotative, which means this. So we have a scales here, and annotative will let you pick a scale, and when the scale is big, then your text is on that layer. So if you choose 1/2 as a scale, then only the text with 1/2 will show up. So let me show you what I mean by that. So before we do that, we're going to create a new layer. A new text style here. So go to text style, then annotative one. So we don't want to change anything here. So we are going to so this was supposed to be a Arial. So let me change it to Arial because that was the default one. Okay, so you don't want to change anything here, and you are going to click annotative one and say create a new one. Yeah, change that. Okay, so you can call it as your last name, but with annotative. So you know that's annotative, and say OK. So make sure here is checked annotative. And let's give the text height as 0.125 again. And keep everything as the default. And say OK. Apply, then close. Then let's go back here again. So I'm on the annotative ones. And let's create some text. So we're going to go to a multi-line text again. And it give us a warning, says it's 1/1. Do we want to create an annotative object on 1/1? Then just say OK. And put it here. And we're going to say this is an annotative text with a scale 1/1. Period. 1/1. Period. The text size is 0.125. Period. So this is the first one, and I'm going to copy this. So double click and copy this. And give us warning, then forget about it. So you can also edit the text like Microsoft Word, such as change the height here and make it to be bold and make it to be like underline and overline like this I'm going to drag it longer so you can see it better, like this. And edit that with, so I'm going to uncheck them and make it to be centered to the left and with the line spacing in between. So you can do any of this. So anyway, so I'm going to copy this and say OK. And now I'm going to change it to the 1/2 ones. So go to, so it's supposed to have 1/2. So you're supposed to have 1/2 there. If you don't have, then go to custom here and do add, then call it 1/2. Whoop. Add it, call it 1/2, then 1/2 here, say OK. And add another called 1/4, then go to 1/4 here, say OK, and say OK. Okay, so now we're going to go to 1/2 ones and create another multi-line text here. Then Control V and paste everything you just copied. And save the change. And now we're going to go to 1/4 and do the same thing, multi-line text. Then put it here and Control V here. Then this is our text here. Then we're going to change it a little bit because the scale is no longer 1/1. So this one is going to be 1/2. So double click here, 1/2. And double click that, 1/4. Okay, so now we're going to turn off this, uncheck that. So we're on the layer 1/4. So if we do that, then only the 1/4 one is showing up. And let's turn it on. And similar, if we only check 1/1 here, then only 1/1 is showing up. So the rest of them, they are all showing up because they are not annotative one. So with the annotative one, so only the right scale one are going to show up. Others, they're not going to show up. Now let's go to the 1/2 ones here. Okay, and let's check that. So everything will show up. And remember, when we created this text, so the text size is 0.125. Okay, so let's click on the text here again to see what's the current text height. So it's actually half of that. The reason of that is we're on the 1/2 scale. So they default whatever on this layer, so that is 0.125. So this one is half of that, so it's half of the size. So let's click on here. So this one is going to be 0.125. Okay, because we're on that scale. And let's change it back to 1/1 now. So if you double click here again, then this one is going to be 0.125. And this one is going to be doubled, is 0.25. So this is how it works. And we can also use AutoCAD to calculate the area of a ship. So let's draw a rectangle here. So rectangle here. Let's start off at 0, 0. Then I want to have a rectangle that is 5 units long and 2 units height. So we're going to type in 5, 2 here. So the area of the rectangle is actually 10. Okay, so I want to know the area automatically. So I'm going to do a multi-line text here and put it in here and do a field. So field, and I'm going to do objects, and under here do object, and I'm going to select the object tab. So click on here, select object. I'm going to select the rectangle here, and it's the area, then say OK. So they calculate the area for us automatically here. Then if we drag the rectangle up, so stretch it up, then you're going to hit RE. So type in RE means regenerate. So the area changed here. So change the back here, then type in RE, then the right regenerate and calculate the area for us again. Then you can save the work, and that's all we have for today's class. Thanks for your watching. We'll see you next time. Bye.